You're listening to Wehman, Brunson, and Vernuccio, Inside the News. Let's go back to Guy, Ben, and Frank.
Welcome back to Inside the News. This is our Picking Up the Pieces segment. Ben Brunson, Frank Vernuccio, and myself, Guy Wehman. Big thanks to AUN TV, our radio affiliates across the country. And you can find more of us on our website, itnradio.com. And you can follow us on YouTube. And Ben does the best promo of this at WBV Inside the News. Okay, immigration, Ben, we've got to tackle this issue because the Biden administration is not. They've even put out a word, kind of like a pre-advance notice, kind of like a desensitizing thing, that these illegal aliens, they're going to disperse them all across the country. So you're not going to be able to find them, and then they're going to infiltrate, maybe that's a bad word, maybe that's the right word, all the other states, all 50 states in the nation. Ben, go.
Well, we have a real and rapidly growing crisis on our southern border. It started, a lot of pundits say, well, this was happening under Trump. Well, it was happening under Trump after Joe Biden won the election. Yes, immediately people started to move north towards the border in anticipation of the exact policies that were implemented on day one, on January 20th, by the Biden administration. So we have rolled out the welcome mat to every illegal alien who desires to cross our southern border, and we're going to get it in spades. This is going to get worse and worse as we get into the spring and summer. Facilities are already overwhelmed on the southern border, and in an attempt to hide the impact of this or lessen the impact of this and lessen the local press coverage, because we know there won't be national press coverage, they're going to move illegal immigrants around the country. So look for an influx of people all over the country. Wherever you are, you're not immune to this. This is not just New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas and California that have to live with this issue, because they're going to be bussed everywhere or flown everywhere. So
Nebraska,
we face a looming disaster.
Yeah, Nebraska, I was going to say Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, they're going to hit every one of the states, and it's not just going to be, well, we'll give you like 10 or 20. No, they're going to be thousands imported into this thing, isn't it, Ben?
Yes, it's the welcome mat's out. I don't know, there could be multi-millions. We could add 5 million or more people this year who want to cross that border. If there are not steps taken now to discourage this movement, this mass migration of people into the U.S. Trump had control of our border. It was a great success. It was what most Americans support, and that was bipartisan support for the most part. And yet this administration has thrown all of that out, and they've done it with remarkable speed. They've created chaos almost instantly.
Frank, it's even going to happen in Albany up there.
It is. And of course, one of the stories the media refuses to emphasize is the fact that 108 illegal immigrants with COVID were allowed to spread across the United States. One of the things we have not seen at all from the press or from the Democratic Party or the Biden administration is what's the benefit to Americans of allowing this vast number of illegals to come into the country. We've seen all of Biden's actions, some of which has helped China, some of which have helped the illegal immigrants in Latin America. But what is it about the Biden administration that seems to not think at all of what benefits the American people? Now, Biden has said he doesn't believe in America first, and he's proven it. His administration has proven it, because everything he has done may have benefited Iran or China or Latin America, but none of what he has done has benefited Americans.
You know, there is somebody behind the throne there, Ben, up there in the White House behind Joe Biden, because he's not the one coming up with these ideas. And in just this last minute or so, we're all starting to see it. We haven't maybe pinpointed it, or maybe we have, Ben.
Well, Joe Biden reads what's put on the teleprompter in front of him and signs what's put down on his desk in the latest executive order. that much is quite clear. As we started this show talking about how much trouble he gets in when he veers off the teleprompter by even a word or two, he immediately gets lost. So who is absolutely in control? I don't know. I'm sure it's a group of people. Ron Klain has tremendous powers, chief of staff. Kamala Harris has tremendous powers, vice president. And what is astonishing, I think, probably even to most Democrats, the average Democratic voter out there, is just how hard left this administration has gone from day zero. The moment they took office, it is a march to the left, and policies that were hated by the Democratic Party just 10 years ago are now being enacted by this president.
And may we even say, and I think Frank alluded to this, even just a day or two after the election in November, because of the deep state, because of the media, it was already in motion. And even though Trump was in office, things were happening out of Trump's control because they were working on it. Oh, my goodness. We got to put a bow on the program. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Getting to the heart of the matter. Here's Guy Wehman, Ben Brunson, and Frank Vernuccio with more Inside the News.
Welcome back. This is Inside the News. Glad to have you with us. This is where we're going to put a bow on the program. Our guys are so chomping at the bit, Ben Brunson, Frank Vernuccio, and myself, Guy Wehman, that during our break, it's like we just want to keep on going on a roll. And Frank, I'll give you first dibs on this.
If you look at all of the policies that have come from the White House, they have been without explanation of how it benefits the American people, whether it's immigration, whether it's foreign affairs, whether it's in the various bills that are before Congress at this point. This is what you get when you have a media that is totally biased in favor of one side against the other, which simply has become so radicalized that it is divorced from everyday Americans' concerns, everyday American beliefs. Until we get a more honest media, you're not going to see much in the way of honest discourse about where we're going as a country.
Okay, and I mentioned in the last segment about the deep state, and Ben, I do believe that right after Biden was won in November, that deep state, they were already working. And I just, in my mind, it's the mental image of all the little Vindemans up there in Washington. Go, Ben.
Well, of course, they fought Donald Trump tooth and nail, in some ways successfully, in some ways not. But they, I'm sure, consumed a lot of champagne after Biden was declared the winner following the election in November. So the good times are back. And from a deep state perspective, you could envisage no one more perfect to be the president than Joe Biden, a man who is quite frail and weak, physically weak, mentally weak, and is essentially a puppet at this point, willing to spout whatever you put in front of them, sign whatever you put in front of them. So they're in complete control. The deep state has never had a better time. They never had a worse time than under Trump, never had a better time than under Joe Biden.
You nailed it there, Ben, because it's like Joe Biden is the best case scenario for the deep staters because he is starting to lose it mentally. Physically, you can see he can barely walk because he's so frail and everything. It's like, I mean, he is the puppet. And you start to see this in some of the old Soviet regimes and stuff where these people, the next step that they're going to do is poison them with ricin or something, Ben.
Well, they won't need to do that. I think nature will take care of that issue for them because, as we talked about earlier, the stress of being president, even if you're being shielded, even if you fly back to Delaware every weekend, even if you go to bed at 8 o'clock at night, which rumors suggest that's about his end point for each day, it's still so stressful that the path he was on before, which was quite disturbing if you're a fan of his, has to be accelerated at this point, and it's a downward trend. So you just can't fight nature off at this point.
All right, our hot button topics, and Frank, what's yours?
Call it the Washington two-step. where an administration says one thing and then does the exact opposite. Over the past couple of weeks, several reports have come out from the administration concerning the danger from China. And they have spoken in almost apocalyptic terms about the danger that we are facing from the Chinese Communist Party in Beijing. But you compare that with their actions. It's rumored that the next budget, the budget that the new president will propose, is going to be very soft on the military, will reduce military funding by a significant level. It's the perfect example of how Washington lies to the American people. They will say one thing and do the exact opposite, without fear of a media that will expose their lying and their deception of the American people.
Okay, Ben, your hot button topic this week.
Said it before, and I will continue to say it. Probably the greatest lasting legacy of Donald Trump's term in office is his redefining of China from being a great friend and an ally, potential ally, to being the real enemy that we face. And this has pervaded thinking throughout the United States and survives his presidency. The Pentagon is very focused on China. They have announced a Pacific Defense Initiative that is very focused on beefing up our ability to defend bases and logistics operations around the Pacific, such as on the island of Guam, where they want to fund Aegis Ashore, which is taking the Navy's most advanced defense system and putting it on the island of Guam. But it's more far-flung than that. It is a focus on how to fight the Chinese, how to defend the logistics, and how to impose area denial on the Chinese. So look for a lot of new ballistic missiles to be placed in the Pacific that can offensively threaten Chinese operations in the event of war. So we're preparing, but it doesn't fix the leadership issue at the top.
Good program this week, Frank.
Great being with you all. Look forward to our discussion next week.
Thanks again, Ben.
Thanks, guys. Thank you to our listeners.
And thank you so much to our listeners, AUN TV, and you can also catch us on YouTube. For all of us here at Inside the News, we'll catch you again next week. Stay safe and strong.
You're listening to Wehman, Brunson, and Vernuccio, Inside the News.